morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on your time zone. Mazi Media welcomes you back to our usual program. In today's analysis, we are going to look at a different topic on why the Igbo youths are believing that the Igbo governors, Ohanaeze Ndi-Igbo, and other politicians are against them and want to suppress them to become slaves in their own country. Well, we have to use this opportunity to make it known that this channel is not supporting any killing, any violence against the Igbos or against any Nigerian, but what this channel is doing is to carry out the analysis of what is trending in the Nigerian society and the Igbo nation in particular. But before we go on, we will thank our numerous listeners and our subscribers, as well as those who have not subscribed. We ask you to subscribe to this channel, like it, share it, and leave your comment. With this, we will know your opinion and what you have in mind concerning what we are doing. Thank you very much for doing this in advance. In continuation, we are trying to set records straight for peace to reign in Southeast, a region where everybody is intelligent, right in all his ways, thereby finding it difficult to come to a conclusion of what to do both politically, economically, socially for the people of the state, because there is a battle of intelligence and who is who amongst politicians. In this situation, it becomes difficult to reach an agreement because everybody believes his own intelligence is more powerful than the other and must be acceptable. Otherwise, everything collapses. That is Igbo man for you. In today's analysis, we will look at reasons why Igbo politicians and Ohanaeze are not agreeing with Igbo youths. We will be able to expose or illustrate the findings on two parallel levels. What Igbo leaders think about their own attitude and how the youths rate them, identifying their weaknesses, their failures at both local and national politics. These are the comparisons we are going to expose from what the youths and the politicians themselves say. Once again, reading on the preliminary analysis of the Ohanaeze and the politicians themselves about themselves in Vanguard of 15th June 2022, where it is stated Igbo leaders at war over politics of betrayal. That is their modus operandi, and we have to repeat what they have said. First, selfish interest, love for money, frightening, unacceptable Anambra community leader. 2. Southeast governors selling Igbo interest for piece of bread. Abia State monarch are in Abeba Kingdom, Eze Kalo Obu. Betrayal from our leaders and the delegates is very shameful. Former governor of Ebonyi State, Dave Umahi. Our governors ready to sell everybody for a pot of porridge. Former governor of Ebonyi State, Dave Umahi. Leave political power and capture the economic power. Mbazulike Amechi. Days of reckoning await saboteurs of Igbo interest. Sam Ohabowa. We are not happy. We are very sad. Chief Emmanuel Iwanyo Ohanaeze, President. Igbo will not remain political slaves to other zones. Chief Ohanaeze word. Igbo need critical self-reflection on their political strategies. Done. It is also wise to remind the Igbos on this record. It is on record that Igbos sold the highest number of Igbos into slavery between 17th to 19th century. Over 1.5 million Igbos were sold for hot drinks, guns, clothes, shoes, and it is repeating itself. And the youth are not happy about all these problems created by Igbo politicians and repeating what they have already known in history. That is where the problem is coming today. The Igbo youths are making references of history, how their brothers were sold out by those who call themselves slave merchants, and it is being repeated again in the 21st century by those who claim to be politicians, who claim to be the leaders of Ohanaeze and their supporters. From their own findings, Ohanaeze understand that they are aware of their problems, but the question is, how do they find solution? How do they find common ground of agreement to ensure that these problems are resolved? But the question is, why are they not agreeing with the youths since they have identified all these problems? But unfortunately, they do not realize that the youths are aware of their failures. Their political inabilities at both local and national level have given the youths the understanding of those representing them in Nigerian politics. They are only interested in their own personal needs, goals, rather than the needs of the entire zone. According to them, the youth are advancing in their comprehension of the standard they need to improve their region and the nation at large. However, they are locked up with those local politicians who only want the slave era to continue in Igbo land and the Southeast at large. They continued. They want to be local kings and the millionaires who have only overriding powers in their local communities. According to them, those in diaspora with full knowledge and capacity to make impact in the society become a threat to these local champions, some of them whose wealth are questionable. The youth also identified that these politicians refuse to work with them on the principles that will enhance the development of the nation, where everybody, man and woman, will benefit. On the problems in the southeast of Nigeria, the youths identified or made reference to 3 regional agitations that arose because of the domination of northern oligarchies. These regional agitations are: in the southeast region, we have IPOB, that is Indigenous People of Biafra, led by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who are agitating for the restoration of Biafran nation. In the southwest was Ndi-Igbo, who are fighting for the establishment of Yoruba nation. And finally, the Fulani bandits, his men, Boko Haram, ISWAP, with Abubakar Gumi as their spokesman, who are fighting for land and Islamization of the entire Nigeria. These became the three-dimensional problems of Nigeria. However, the most dangerous was the Fulani terrorist group. They are the most dangerous, according to the youths. The reason they gave was that this group of Fulani terrorists distributed all their attacks all over Nigerian states, killing Nigerian indigenous citizens, taking away land, formed banditry, kidnapping, and burning of police stations, attacking military formations such as Nigerian Defense Academy in Kaduna and other areas. They have killed many people in the face of the government of Muhammadu Buhari and their military chiefs and intelligence, who were all Fulanis. Again, they accused the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, as advancing the cause of these terrorist actions by seeking for lands and Ruga projects all over Nigeria for the Fulanis, as well as water and expansion of Fulani merchandise all over Nigeria. In the southeast, the IPOB leader, Mr. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, formed Eastern Security Network to stop the advancement of the killer hitmen in the southeast of Nigeria, including raping and acquisition of lands that belongs to the indigenous people in southeast. This did not go well with the federal government, who employed the services of the southeastern governors and the Ohanaeze to ensure that these will not work, that the ECN must be stopped to enable the Fulani hitmen to advance all nooks and corners of southeastern Nigeria. In the southwest, Chief Ndi-Igbo waged war against the invading Fulanis. This also did not go well with the government of Muhammadu Buhari and some Yoruba politicians as well. They saw Igbo as a threat, just like they saw Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in the southeast as a threat to their advancement. However, behind the Yoruba leaders, not all were in support of Buhari tendencies and advancement with his Fulani terrorists. Like in Animal Farm, Igbo politicians and the Ohanaeze became the Mulie, who prefers personal benefit, while the Yorubas supported Igbo against these Fulani invaders. Like in the past, Igbos are experts in plotting against their brothers. The plot began on how to kidnap Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, as well as Igbo, by the federal government of Nigeria. While the Nigerian government, with military, police, and DSS, continue to advance the cause of advancement of the Fulanis towards southern Nigeria, that is southeast and southwest, as well as middle belt, with massive invasion and killings. Igbo politicians and Ohanaeze activated the spirit of the dead Igbo slave merchants, who kidnapped over 1.5 million of their brothers and sisters, including children, into slavery. Igbo governors began to plot with the federal government on how to kidnap Mazi Nnamdi Kanu away from Nigeria, Igbo man. However, they succeeded in kidnapping Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in Kenya, East Africa, under Uhuru Kenyatta, while Igbo was kidnapped in Benin Republic, while Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was renditioned back to Nigeria in a very inhuman way. The Igbo politicians were very, very happy with the view that their political bid for presidency will be actualized, having satisfied the need of the federal government led by the Fulani expansionist Muhammadu Buhari. Action of the federal government aroused the anger of the Fulanis. According to the youth, they said the Yoruba elders and politicians and groups vowed that Fulani man can no longer control and take their agitator, irrespective of his sins, back to Nigeria and will not judge him in Nigerian court. Therefore, Igbo was left in Benin Republic and the Yorubas organized their lawyers to defend him. They sent delegates, including former President Major General Olusegun Obasanjo and other Afenifere leaders who vowed and defended Igbo in Benin Republic. One of the clips you are going to see is the clip of General Olusegun Obasanjo, the former president of Nigeria, visiting Igbo in Benin Republic to show his solidarity.
Kò yí gbogbo ẹ̀yin olólùfẹ́ wa káàkiri àgbáńlá ayé pátá, ojú tẹ́ fi ń wò wá ò ní fọ́ ò bẹ́ẹ̀ etí tẹ́ fi ń gbọ́ wá ò ní di láṣẹ Èdùmàrè. tó lénìí mo fẹ́ fún yín ní ìròyìn ayọ̀ ni o. bẹ́ẹ̀ ni kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀ nílùú Benin Republic gan ìyẹn nílẹ̀ Kútọ̀nù mo fẹ́ ṣàlàyé ẹ̀ fún yín. ipò tí bàbá wa olóyè Sunday Igboho wà nílùú Benin Republic mo fẹ́ ṣàlàyé ẹ̀ fún yín. ìró ìdùnnú ti àwọn ọmọ tí wọ́n dá sílẹ̀ ìyẹn ìjọba Nàìjíríà àwọn tó ń kó tó jẹ́ amúgbálẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ olóyè Sunday Igboho kan fi wọ́n sílẹ̀ ìyẹn náà wà lára àwọn tó mo fẹ́ gbà yín sọ lénìí. tó èyí tó wá dùn mọ́ mi jù ni pé bàbá wa olóyè Ọbásanjọ́ wọ́n gbéra wọ́n gbàlú Benin Republic lọ láti lọ bá pírẹsidẹ́ǹtì wọn wípé tó olóyè Sunday Igboho tẹ̀ ń wò yìí ẹ bá wa ṣètọ́jú ẹ̀ o fún olóyè Sunday Igboho ní asylum. ìyẹn túmọ̀ sí wípé kí ìjọba ìlú Benin kan wábì kan tó bá dára tó rẹwà kó fi olóyè Sunday Igboho sí, àti jíjẹ àti mímu àti níná àti lílo olóyè Sunday Igboho ó jẹ́ pé àwọn ni wọ́n máa gbọ́ bùkátà ẹ̀ fúngbà díẹ̀. èyí ni nǹkan tí bàbá wa olóyè Ọbásanjọ́ tó ń bá lọ sílùú Benin Republic. ṣé mọ̀ wípé mo ti máa ń sọ fún yín tipẹ́ pé àwọn àgbààgbà Yorùbá àwọn ní èyí ṣàgbà burúkú.
While in the case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, Igbo politicians jubilated to the extent that a man was observed, Joe Ibokwe, praying to God. People like Ochozo Kalo, Ifeanyi Uba, were all in jubilant mood to ensure that it is true. They all visited Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in the DSS custody to ensure that it was Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that was caught and in DSS prison. They went there to put their anger against him. This can be seen in various clips. While the Yorubas were at war with the federal government led by former President Muhammadu Buhari, the Igbo politicians were busy jubilating the abduction and kidnapping of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. To show their joy, they invited, the governor of Ebonyi State invited Buhari, where he and the members of Ohanaeze and Buhari himself had a meeting with the late Obiozo, Professor Obiozo, as the Igbo Ohanaeze president. According to the youths, the findings, they believed that Buhari promised that court should determine the fate of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. This was played before the Nigerian public. But when court acquitted Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, it was the Igbo governors and politicians that turned back to say it will be resolved under political agreement. It's no longer court issue. Now it has become the agreement, political agreement between Nnamdi Kanu and the southeastern governors, thereby promulgating the court judgment. According to the youths, they pointed at Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer, Mr. Ejiofor, as being brain behind all these problems, because he liaises with the politicians and extract information from the detained leader of IPOB and send back to the politicians on what is happening. These allegations has caused a lot of argument between the members of IPOB and Mr. Ejiofor himself. Mr. Ejiofor has continuously been accused of frustrating the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, even after the elections, which those who organized the kidnapping lost. The youth also accused the Igbo politicians and Ohanaeze passionately as working and sabotaging against the interest of the Igbo nation development for their own personal gains, making reference to the political slogan published by Vanguard newspaper of 15th June 2022, which replicated what the Igbo themselves stated as reason for their inability to develop. According to the youths, it was expected that immediately after the kidnap of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, that the IPOB DOS, led by Chika Edoziem and the Chinasa Woru, would have had strong hold in facing Igbo politicians who have been identified as the brain behind the kidnapping of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, making reference to Yoruba politicians and the statesmen who took Buhari to task and they told him to go to hell, that Igbo will not be brought back to Nigeria, and they made sure that Nigerian government, through its legal process, fined Nigeria about 20 billion to pay Igbo for abuse of his legal right. But for the Igbo politicians and Ohanaeze, they kept quiet and mute, and they refused to speak on behalf of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, passionately as began by the former Igbo leader, Mazi Mbazulike Amechi. After his death, the silence continued. According to one of the Igbo youth who spoke behind the camera, stated that it should be noted, in every absence of Moses, I quote, during the time he was leading the children of Israel out of Egypt, God raises a new Joshua, unquote. He stated this was replicated in Simon Ekpa, the little boy in Finland, unquote. He is forcing the Southeast governors, politicians, and Ohanaeze and the Nigerian government today to speak about releasing Mazi Nnamdi Kanu by imposing a sit-at-home order, not only on Mondays, but a week-long sit-at-home, which were obeyed by the people at home. The politicians, he claimed, believed that the people love them, but the actual person they love is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. They want Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to come out of the prison because Igbo is out of the prison. Today, Abakari is out of the prison. The Fulani Hismen are being provided all the amenities, being rehabilitated and sent into the Nigerian forces, yet their own son is being held. What is Ohanaeze and the politicians are doing? Do they think they do not understand what is happening and what is going on in Nigeria? Unquote. This might be the reason why Mr. Ekpa Simon is being obeyed. They also claimed, and which is true from the newspaper publications and the television studio houses displaying the news, that Ohanaeze Ndi-Igbo and the Southeast politicians are inviting another military operation in Nigeria. They reported that the first Operation Python Dance during the time of former President Buhari, all the operations carried out there were the handwork of the politicians and the Ohanaeze through the Southeast governors. They are inviting them to kill their people, that they, the youths, are noting all these problems being created by the Ohanaeze and the Igbo politicians, especially the governors, because they want to retain power and kill their people. Fight against sit at home, according to them, is a waste of time. What they needed to do is to call Samuel Ekpa, call the federal government, ask them to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and as long as they do this, that they sit at home, the killings and problems created by Igbo politicians and governors in the Southeast will come to an end. It is the governors, according to them, and the politicians supported by Ohanaeze that are causing problems in Southeast. Instead of going back to the federal government, do what the Yoruba nations did, what Gumi is doing on behalf of the Boko Harams, Fulani, his men, Eswap, and the Fulani bandits are doing. He made reference to Abubakar Gumi, how he is fighting for his Fulani terrorists, how the Yorubas fought for Ndi-Igbo, and how the Igbos are expanding the killing of their own people instead of fighting to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. According to them, this is where the problem lies. They have identified Igbo politicians, the Ohanaezes, and their governors as the problem of southeastern states. This is what they have stated, and that is what we have extracted from the interactions with the southeastern youths. This channel is therefore calling on the southeastern governors and politicians, as well as the Ohanaeze, to organize themselves and liaise with their youths. It has been identified that the Ohanaeze, the governors, and the politicians are at war with their own youth because they want to satisfy the need of their own pockets and not the needs of the youth and the nation at large. We are pleading with the Igbo governors, the Ohanaeze, and the politicians who are forming various vigilante groups to counter Mazi Simon Ekpa, to instead go back to the drawing board and find solution which is hanging at the headquarters of the seat of government in Abuja and the DSS, and release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. With this, we come to the end of this very program. We ask you to subscribe, share, and understand the problems. Better understanding will eliminate problems from the youth, from the Ohanaeze, from the politicians. It is good to work together and achieve success together. Division brings problem. That is all we have to tell them, and that is all we have for them Thank you very much for listening. We ask you to subscribe, like, and share these programs to all your friends and well-wishers. Till we come to you with another trending analysis. Thank you, and God bless you all. Bye.